Your mood shatters because of a single thoughtless comment from a stranger. A surprise deadline at work sends a jolt of panic through your entire system. You feel a flash of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic, and it hijacks the rest of your afternoon. If this feels familiar, it's because you're living in a house of cards. Your peace of mind is so fragile that any gust of wind, any unexpected event threatens to bring the whole structure crashing down. The world profits from this fragility, keeping you reactive, anxious, and easy to control. But what if you could trade that flimsy structure for something permanent, something powerful? What if you could live in a fortress instead? You came here living in a house of cards. You will leave with the blueprint for a castle. That castle is your mental fortress, an unshakable inner world built on purpose and principle. It's a state of being where you are no longer a victim of your own emotions, but the commander of them. The architectural style for this fortress comes from an ancient and profound school of thought, Stoicism. The Stoics were the original engineers of the human soul, masters of building resilience against the chaos of life. They didn't just offer tips, they created laws for living, blueprints for an invincible mind. Today, I am giving you the 7 core blueprints to construct your own mental fortress. These 7 Stoic laws will make you the architect of your own peace, allowing you to become emotionally bulletproof. Now that we've cleared the rubble of the old mindset, let's look at the first blueprint for your fortress. This is law number 1, the law of the Gatekeeper, which governs your perception. Your mind is not a public square for every thought and opinion to wander through. It is a fortress, and you are the gatekeeper. The Stoics taught that events themselves don't harm us. Only our judgment about those events can. Traffic isn't bad, it's just traffic. A critical email isn't an attack, it's just words on a screen. The vulnerability is that we let these neutral events pass through our gates unchallenged, bundled with our own negative stories. A gatekeeper, however, stops every thought at the entrance and inspects its papers. You must ask, is this thought true? Is it useful? And most importantly, is it within my control? Imagine a professional named Alex receives a blunt email from his boss pointing out a mistake in a report. The unchallenged thought is, I'm a failure and my boss thinks I'm incompetent. This thought breeds anxiety and ruins his focus for the rest of the day. But a gatekeeper, Alex, pauses. He stops the emotional story at the gate. A mistake was made in the report. He then separates it from the subjective, unhelpful story. This means I am a failure. The event is the same, but his internal experience is transformed from panic into a simple, solvable problem. He can now focus his energy on correcting the mistake, not on nursing a wounded ego. This is your primary defense. Guarding the gate is the first and most critical duty in building your fortress. Once your outer walls are secure, you need a place of absolute safety within. This brings us to law number 2, the law of the inner citadel, mastering the power of the present moment. Most of our suffering doesn't happen in the here and now. It happens in our minds, in imagined futures or regretted pasts. Anxiety and regret are like ghosts from other times, haunting the halls of your mind. But the Stoics knew that you have a sanctuary where these ghosts cannot enter. Your inner citadel is a place only you can access, and that place is the present moment. No matter how chaotic the world gets, you can always retreat to the fortress within the fortress. The vulnerability is letting your mind time travel, endlessly rehearsing future failures or replaying past mistakes. The Stoic mindset violently anchors itself to the now. Imagine a young entrepreneur, Sarah, who is days away from a critical investor presentation. She's paralyzed by anxiety, imagining all the ways it could go wrong. She's worrying about questions she can't predict and reactions she can't control. Her mind is fighting a battle in the future, leaving her no energy to prepare in the present. Then she remembers her inner citadel. She stops, closes her eyes, and takes one deep breath. She focuses on the feeling of the chair beneath her and the air entering her lungs. She asks herself, what can I do in this exact minute to improve my chances? The answer is not to worry about the investors. It is to review one more slide or practice her opening statement. By retreating to her inner citadel, she transforms her anxiety into focused, productive work. This isn't about ignoring the future. It's about building the best possible future by mastering the present. Guarding the gate protects you from external attacks, and the inner citadel protects you from internal ones. But what do you do with the fires that inevitably start inside the walls? This brings us to a more radical concept. Law number 3, the law of controlled fire for weaponizing your emotions. Modern culture tells you to suppress anger, to meditate away frustration, to be endlessly calm. The Stoics had a more pragmatic and more powerful approach. They understood that emotions like anger and frustration are simply energy. Anger is fire. Left to run wild, it will burn your fortress to the ground from the inside out. But if you capture that fire, if you build a furnace and control the airflow, you can use it to forge steel. The goal isn't to never feel anger. The goal is to turn that fire from a weapon used against you into a forge for your will. The vulnerability here is obvious, letting your anger make your decisions for you. The Stoic mindset doesn't suppress the feeling, it harnesses the energy. Imagine an artist who receives a scathing public review of her work. The initial reaction is a hot surge of anger and humiliation. She could lash out online, write a bitter response, or give up entirely, letting the fire consume her. Instead, she walks into her studio. She takes the heat of that humiliation and pours it onto the canvas. She uses the energy of her anger to work longer, push harder, and take more creative risks. The sting of the insult becomes the fuel for her greatest masterpiece. The action is simple. When you feel a powerful negative emotion, don't just sit in it. Ask yourself, what productive action can this energy fuel? Then immediately go and do that thing. This practice makes you anti-fragile, where every attempt to harm you only makes you stronger. We've secured the gates, fortified the present, and learned to control the internal fires. But your fortress is still vulnerable if its value is decided by the people outside. This brings us to law number 4, the law of the unflappable mirror, achieving indifference to external opinion. If praise from others can make your day, then criticism from others has the power to ruin it. You've handed the keys to your emotional state to everyone you meet. The great vulnerability is believing your self-worth is a window showing you how the world sees you. The Stoic mindset transforms that window into a mirror. A mirror doesn't care about the opinions of onlookers. It simply reflects what is. Your self-worth should reflect your own adherence to your own values and nothing else. Stop borrowing your self-worth from the looks in other people's eyes. Forge your own in the mirror. Consider two software developers, both receiving the exact same critical feedback on their code. The first developer, who lives by the window, is crushed. The feedback is a judgment on his identity, and he spirals into self-doubt. The second developer, who lives by the mirror, has a different reaction. She listens to the feedback not as a verdict on her worth, but as data. She compares the feedback against her own high standards for her work. Is the criticism valid based on my values of writing clean, efficient code? If yes, she calmly integrates the feedback to improve, because her primary goal is excellence, not praise. If no, she discards it without emotional attachment, recognizing it as irrelevant noise. The action is to end each day by judging yourself on a simple metric. Ask yourself, did I act with integrity and do my best? If the answer is yes, you've won the day, no matter what the world said about it. These first 4 laws form the outer walls and core structures of your fortress. To make them practical, let's combine them into a daily routine I call the 4-step fortress check. Each morning, or any time you feel overwhelmed, you can run this mental checklist. Step 1. Check the gate. Am I letting in negative stories, or am I seeing events for what they are? Step 2. Secure the Citadel. Am I in the present moment, or am I lost in a ghost story of the past or future? Step 3. Bank the fire. Am I feeling strong emotions? And if so, how can I channel this energy productively? And step 4. Polish the mirror. Is my worth being measured by my own values or by the opinions of others? We've just laid out a powerful framework, but I know building a fortress is hard work. So I'm curious, which of these first 4 laws do you find the most challenging to enforce? Share your experience in the comments. Let's learn from each other as fellow architects. Okay, we've built the walls and watchtowers, but what about attacks from within, like complacency? This brings us to Law 5, the law of voluntary hardship, which is about practicing misfortune. A fortress that never faces a storm develops weak foundations. So you must intentionally introduce small, controlled discomforts into your life, like taking cold showers, fasting for a day, or sleeping on the floor occasionally. This trains your mind and body to endure, proving to yourself that you can handle more than you think. Next is Law 6, the law of cosmic perspective, which is about zooming out. When you're enraged about a minor inconvenience, ask yourself if it will matter in a year, a decade, or on your deathbed. This practice shrinks your problems down to their actual insignificant size, preserving your emotional energy for what truly matters. Finally, we have Law 7, the law of dutiful action, focusing on the process, not the outcome. You cannot control whether you win the game, only how well you play. Pour all your effort into your actions, your duties, and your craft, and then let go of the results, which are never fully in your control. These 7 laws are your complete architectural plan. From guarding the gate of perception to focusing only on your dutiful action, you now have the full blueprint. The house of cards you once lived in is a pile of rubble behind you. You now possess the knowledge to build a structure of peace and power in your mind. But remember this, A blueprint is worthless paper until you lay the first stone. This fortress will not build itself. If you're committed to picking up the tools and starting the work, show it by subscribing and joining our community of builders. Thank you for joining the project today and for engaging in the comments. Stay strong, stay disciplined, and guard your fortress.